took a while until I ran into people like Keith Bailey, the drummer. And then he introduced me to the Brotherhood of Breath.
Yeah. So that seems to be to have been a very important part of your early career in England, all that community of South African musicians.
Yes.
When you formed
Before that, though, and it's worth noting, the gigs I wanted to go to hear were at the London School of Economics, where, lo and behold, was Mark Charig, Elton Dean, Keith Tippett, Nick Evans, and I went, Eureka. Like Brigham Young, this is it, you know, we found it.
So you found musicians that you wanted to work with, but did you find something unique about the music scene in the UK compared to everything you heard before as well?
Yes. I found myself writing letters to New York just to let them know that I was okay and what I was experiencing. And fumbling around for words. At the time, I found myself writing things like, it was pretty good last week. It was absolutely mind-blowing. But this week, it really seemed to meander, the music. The music seemed very disorganized, and I think people were distracted. A few people walked out. I wouldn't do that. It cost too much to get in. But truthfully, and then the next week, it'll be 4 players, and it'll be magic again. So, to note what your question is, it was unpredictable. That's partly why I liked it. It was honest.
Yeah.
In that respect. I still wasn't taking part in it, just seeing what it was, hearing what it was about, what musicians were up to. Going to other gigs up at the Haverstock Hill, the country club, where I heard Chris McGregor for the first time, playing opposite Tony Williams' Lifetime.
Oh. And when you say Chris McGregor, was he with a band?
He was with a quartet, with one of the singers. I think it might have been, I don't think it was Panisa, I think it, oh God. I couldn't tell who it was at the time. But in any case, it made quite an impression on me. Chris, maybe Harry Miller, and it wasn't Lewis either. It was another drummer.
It been Laurie Allen or Alan Jackson?
Quite possible, you know. But Chris was so relaxed and cool with the audience. The place was completely oversubscribed. It was, you know, it was dangerous. And of course, they wanted to hear Tony Williams' Lifetime, you know. And Chris was just there. Geniuses, all of them, you know, Chris. And he was just loving the whole thing, no matter what was being hurled, whether it was praise or abuse. And I'm going like, wow, that's something else. The music, I never heard piano played like that. And then Keith Tippett had another thing to offer. Not that night, but on, you know, in other things. So I was getting my mind blown all the time by different aspects. So to get back to your question, that was one of the attractions for me. The vista of musics that you were able to hear in London far outstretched what I was hearing in New York.
And how did you eventually make yourself known to these people and begin working with them? Okay, here's where Elton Dean comes in, because he always used to tease me about this. I had hung out with Keith Bailey. We were both homeless, and we were hanging out. We would walk in the streets sometimes, 3 days a week. And I'd walk with him over to Neasden from Swiss Cottage somewhere, and then walk back, and we'd play. And we were with a little organ player called Tony Gomez. Keith was depping for Lewis, playing with Graham Bond, and playing with Keith Tippett
trio at Ronnie's, the opening sets. That's how they worked it those times. That instead of the late night set, he played the early set, and then the main act would come on. So Keith is the one who introduced me to Chris. So when I went to hear Brotherhood of Breath, this time I had my horn. And Keith introduced me to Chris. And so, Sabza, can you play? And Keith says, yeah, he's all right, you know, he's good. You want to play then, you know? Doo-doo. Cook it, brother, you know, all this. And I'm going like, wait, this is on. Because I heard that band and I went crazy, you know. And everything was done by ear. There was hardly any charts on the stand. I think Mark Charig had a chart or two. Everyone had it up here. So I just had to stand there and listen. And that's how I learned it. Because I had already played with some African bands 3 months previous to that. And of course, now you're learning everything by ear. Another feature musically that England had to offer. So now when I talk with young students, if they want to learn and try and tell them about it, it sounds like some kind of fable about how things used to be. It sounds like before the earth cooled to these young people, because it was a time when people used to say, you want to play? Come.